So I'm here with a lovely lady who looks even more like fantastic in her clothes. I love what you're wearing.
Thank you very much. I always wear Ntuma.
Well, did you hear that? She just said, I always wear Ntuma. So now this is Lisa Lovett-Smith, and Lisa looks great once again. Tell us about your talk, because you're very, very decked out in all Ghanaian clothes.
Yes, I always wear Ghanaian cloth. There's lots of things about Ghana I like. I've spent most of my adult life here, and one of the things that I like most of all is the extended family system. You know, in Ghana, we like to complain about our families, but in fact, they're the best social safety net that we have. I mean, even in the era of AIDS, like families were so resilient. And so I think that my work with my charity, O Africa, is about helping families to help their own. So I think that if you're a Ghanaian and you're helping your sister's kids through school, you're helping your cousins, I think you're actually doing charity. You're doing philanthropy, and you're doing it in the best way possible because it's natural. And so with my organization, that's what we do. Like, we've scaled up. So we help families to take care of their own children. But for me, what's most important is that, unfortunately, in Ghana, we've come to rely on colonial import, which is the orphanage system. And, you know, orphanages have closed down all over the world, but we still have them here. So it's a bit like when you go to Tema and you see all those broken down cars and the broken down computers. People are bringing in old, outmoded things that don't work anymore. And we in Ghana, we are using them. And we are suffering. So the whole point here is that orphanages never serve children because they're institutions. And once you institutionalize people, it has very negative effects. You know, other institutions, for example, would be prisons or reformatories. So why would we put our children in environments where they're not allowed to express their points of view, where the belief system of the majority becomes the belief system of the minority, where they are separated from their parents, their families? How are these children going to marry? What happens to a child who's an Ive and he's put in an orphanage in the Ashanti region? So instead of eating akpele, he will eat fufu. He will forget his language. Like, that's not what this society is about. So orphanages never work. There's no such thing as a good orphanage. It doesn't matter if you have, you know, TV or donations. The children are asked to have like groupthink. So when donors come, they all have to come and dance for the donors. And that happens every blessed weekend, sometimes 3 times in a day. We're parading our children as if they were in zoos. Like, children need to grow up in families. They need to grow up in the community. So in Ghana, it's like we don't appreciate what we have. So we'll say, oh, some of these families are very poor. They don't know how to look after children. But that's just not true, because poverty is never a reason for separating a child from their family. If the family doesn't know how to parent, then give them help with parenting. If they don't have money, then start a small business for them, grinding corn or selling charcoal or whatever it is. But
your talk was really about rethinking the orphanage system and the institutions and how we can move forward beyond that.
Yes, and something that's culturally adapted.
Great. That's just a different thing, a different way of thinking about orphanage systems. And I like how you said that people are so used to that. It's a bit of a colonial, you know, leftover system that we are still carrying and that we need to break off. So your alternative, very clearly, I think for those of us who are listening, what is the alternative?
The alternative to orphanages is to strengthen families so they can look after their own. And that means, you know, creating scholarship funds. It means creating microcredits. It means parenting. It means parenting classes. And for those families that are abusive, like if there's incest or something like that, or if the children have really bad disabilities and the family can't care for them, then we have foster care. I mean, it works in the rest of the world. Paid, professionalized foster care that's controlled by social welfare, and where professional social workers are visiting the families. But that will be in a tiny minority of the cases, because hundreds of children have come through my organization, O Africa, and for 70% of them, we were able to find living, caring family members who are able and willing to take care of these children, willing to take these children back into their lives. Because family is family, and we can't forget that. Orphanages will never substitute a family.
Thank you very much. And you look great once again. And I love your story. I don't know whether you want to tell us a little bit about your story in Ghana. You've been here for a long time. You speak Chi.
A little bit.
It's a saying.
Baku.
Baku Baku, why are you?
Because, I think that I'm not proud of my local language abilities. I think I could have done much better. But in terms of Ghana, yes, I came here and I saw a very exploitative, corrupt situation in an orphanage that Anas Samariao Anas later exposed. And so that was a big shock to the system. So I decided to sell my house, sell my car, come back to Ghana and try and fix it. So like I said, I have a huge organization with, it's not a huge organization, but we've helped a lot of people. And so we have a big scholarship fund and we work with the government of Ghana to strengthen care systems for children that are not based on orphanages.